Liz, a.k.a. friend, threw it in the chat, and she wants to know what we think about the MLB players on the ballot that are implicated in steroid use.
Yeah, this was actually something I wanted to talk about today, too.
So let's talk about it.
All right. Well,
I don't feel they should be on the ballot. If you're caught cheating, you're cheating.
So you don't feel like they should be on the ballot at all?
No. Why should they be on the ballot?
Not even have the option of...
No. Why do they get the option? What makes it okay for a guy who got caught cheating to be able to win awards? That would be like if I was playing poker with somebody and I got caught cheating at the card game and then I ended up winning the tournament. Just shouldn't happen. Once you're caught cheating, you're out of the game. I don't play with anybody who cheats.
Yeah, when it comes down to this scenario, you knew it was coming. You knew this was going to arise. Look, they want to put him on the ballot, put him on the ballot. But I don't think the guy should, literally, I don't think they should get a single vote. I don't think they should ever get a single vote. You know, one thing I've heard people talk about, I believe we've even talked about it on this show, is that if people believe these guys with what they did deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, well, then you put them in, make their own little wing in the Hall of Fame of the steroid era, so that every time people look at what they did, they're, instead of having to write a little asterisk next to everything they did, just put them in one little hallway. These are the guys that played during the steroid era. Some of them we caught, some of them we didn't. But either which way, I don't think they deserve a vote. Put them on the ballot. Let them think they have a chance. I don't care.
Why waste the spot on the ballot for a guy like that when somebody else who's deserving of it, who did things the right way, could be on it? If you want to change the culture of the game, change the culture of the game. And don't reward people who cheat.
Oh, I completely agree with that. I just, if you want to put them there, I don't really care about that part.
Yeah, but don't you feel like it's taking away from somebody else who may be more deserving and who did it the right way of being on the ballot?
You know, I was looking at the other guys that are coming over. I mean, you still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different guys that are going to be on this ballot. Now, I understand, you know, you're talking 3 guys taking up spots that 3 other guys could be on. Maybe makes the voting more interesting. Maybe, you know, makes the voters' jobs harder to do. I mean, they have the next month to vote on this. But I don't have an issue per se with them being on the ballot, but I completely agree with everything you're saying. You don't reward them at all. You don't vote for them. So at the same time, if I'm going to say that, I can see what you're saying. Why even put them on there if you're not going to vote for them? Look, when it comes down to what these guys did, from an outside perspective, if you just look at numbers, you're like, well, yeah, they should be, you know, Hall of Fame caliber players. But knowing what you know about them, I mean, Bonds never was caught. But everybody pretty much, I mean, you don't go from 150 pounds soaking wet to 240 pounds like he did just because you got older. You just don't. Men don't, we don't grow like that, just naturally. You know what I mean? Like, the shift he made in his body weight and size, just, you don't naturally just grow like that.
No,
so I don't believe him at all. Even though he never was caught, I don't believe him at all.
No.
You know what I mean?
You don't believe him, but, I mean, the scariest part, though, between what steroids was before and what steroids is now, is it's gone from steroids to human growth hormone. And believe it or not, there's a difference. And the difference is I mean, I don't know if you know much about this at all.
Between HGH and steroids?
Yeah. No. I mean, steroids does what happened to Barry Bonds, where you turn an average guy who was a 40 steal guy into a 50, 60 home run guy. It blows you up. You could see it. His body swelled, his face swelled, his head swelled. He got just noticeably larger as time went on, and like muscle-wise. And like you said, that doesn't happen naturally.
No.
You may get larger, but you ain't packing on muscle like that. And you know, it's just not going to happen. And turning into a 70 home run guy when before you were a 30-30 guy or 30-50 guy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, bases.
I look at it like this. I've been going to the gym 3-4 days a week for over 8 months, and I barely see any difference.
Human growth hormone, though, the difference is when you take steroids, you blow up like that. But if you stop taking steroids, you either, it all turns to fat, or you slowly, your body breaks down. Human growth hormone, it literally jumpstarts your body again. And you literally grow. Like, I know a friend of mine who years ago had taken human growth hormone. This is a kid who was in his 20s, early 20s. By then, he was done growing. He took human growth hormone and literally grew an inch.
Got it taller an inch.
Physically got taller an inch. And that's not something he'll lose when he stopped taking it. You get bigger from human growth hormone, and then when you stop taking it, you actually retain about 25% of what you've already put on.
See, I didn't know all this.
Oh, yeah, I can enlighten you.
You can enlighten me?
I've been around a lot of things in my life, my friend. And this is one thing I know, that human growth hormone literally changes the game because you're literally changing your body complexion for the rest of your life. Human growth hormone is literally giving your body hormones to jumpstart you to act like you're 12 years old again.
So there's a reason they call it human growth hormone.
Yeah.
There's more behind it than just
there's more behind it, and you don't lose it when you stop taking it. So these guys that were doing it years before, believe it or not, and especially the human growth hormone aspect, they've continued that growth still. Or at least kept what growth they had.
See,
where steroids, you lose it once you stop taking it.
Yeah. And from what I do believe I know, there's more risk with steroids, though.
There's
with
more
HGH,
risk,
like
there's more health risk.
Yeah, for your actual
There's
physical
more,
health. And
the whole package is a lot worse for steroids. That's the scary part about human growth hormone, is you don't have a lot of those terrible side effects. It doesn't affect your joints the same way.
Well, as far as they know for right now. I mean, it's not like HGH
break down your body.
You know, steroids has been around for 40 years.
Yeah.
HGH is a little bit of a newer way of looking at things. So, I mean, for all they know, you never know. I mean, 20, 30 years from now, people that took HGH, you could start seeing have issues. You don't know that. You don't know, and that's something that only time's going to tell. There's no real way to figure it out other than time. When it comes down to these guys, though, being on the ballot, look, they're on it. Like I said, they're not. We both know they're not going to get votes. No traditional baseball guy, and that's who does the voting. Am I right? Or when it comes down to the voting, these are all old school baseball guys. You don't have some 23-year-old kid, 25-year-old guy doing the voting in this scenario. You have guys in their 50s and 60s. You know, the guys that grew up in the prime of baseball, who truly believe in the right way of winning and the right way of playing the game, that to me have absolutely no respect for the guys that are for these three guys that have no look into what they're going to do, don't care about it, and they don't respect them. So they're not going to vote for them. I'd be very surprised if any of them, like if I see 5 votes between the three of them, I think that would be a lot. You know what I mean? Added up 5 votes between the three of them, and I think that would be a lot. Now, don't get me wrong, though. That's the weird part. I had a lot of fun watching that McGwire Sammy Sosa home run race. I thought that was interesting. I thought that was exciting. But I think if you're a baseball traditionalist, it meant nothing. You think that's fair to say? If you're an old school baseball fan, like you're a baseball traditionalist, that home run race between Sosa and McGwire didn't mean anything. Barry Bonds breaking the home run record doesn't mean anything. The
greatest sign I've ever seen in the stands. Babe Ruth did it on hot dogs, beer, and cigars. What'd Barry Bonds do it on? That's the biggest difference. If you look, guys years ago, like I want to say from the 50s back really, and even the 60s, you look at guys like Mantle, you look at guys like even Roger Maris when he hit 61, you look at guys like Babe Ruth. These guys did it hurting themselves. They drank, they smoked, they partied, they carried on. And he went out the next day and played like a champion. Barry Bonds spent every waking minute shoving needles, in his ass. And what happened? Lifting weights, pumping iron. How'd that work out for you, Barry? Worked out pretty good. You're blackballed pretty much from MLB.
Yeah, pretty much.
A guy who holds so many MLB records, you never hear from him. He's blackballed. Nobody wants to talk to him. Nobody wants him on their shows. Nobody wants him analyzing anything. Nobody wants him anywhere near baseball.
No.
And he would have been a guy that if he didn't do this, he still would have been a Hall of Famer more likely.
Well, yeah, I mean, the way he played with Pittsburgh...
The way he played throughout the 90s, he really didn't start doing the steroids until about 98. 98, 99.
Yeah. That's when I remember, right around 2000, when people started talking about, is Barry Bonds using steroids? Like, people just started looking at him like,
yeah,
wait, this picture of you and this picture of you, and
they're drastically
completely different men. Like you said before, the face puffed up, the shoulders, the chest, everything puffed up, and that's what I mean. You can look at a picture of Barry Bonds from back in the day compared to, just a couple years ago, and they don't look anywhere near the same person. I look at pictures of myself from when I was a kid till now. I have similarities that you can still see. I mean, so there's no excuse for that. And look, I think the bottom line of this is simply this. These guys cheated. People know they cheated. And even though they're on the ballot, they probably will never, ever get that invitation to Canton. Ever.
You mean Cooperstown?
Cooperstown, Canton. I'm thinking NFL Hall of Fame. My apologies. But I think that's a fair thing to say. I don't think these guys will ever get there. And if they do get there, it's going to be our generation that are finally voting on Hall of Famers. You know what I mean? It's going to be the guys that grew up watching them hit home runs that didn't really care too much about the steroids because you were entertained.